And you hear me roar, Detroit Lions, let's go at number 8. I know it's probably not the ranking you want to see. You're ready for a Super Bowl. I'm ready for a Super Bowl. I think most people are ready for Super Bowl for the Detroit Lions. There's just a couple of questions, and we'll go through those. Obviously, with the coaching turnover, offense and defensive coordinators, losing both of those guys, going to be a very big challenge for this football team. And really, to me, the reason why they didn't win the Super Bowl last year was because of injuries. And they've already got some unfortunate injuries right now. Still, core is intact. So, like I said, let's get into this thing and talk about where they're at as a roster, the strengths and the weaknesses and areas to watch out for. The offensive line this season is going to be an area that, even though you got really good tackles, you could totally make the argument this is the best tackle room. I still have the Eagles at 1. I had the Vikings above them, and then also I had the Chargers above them. Now, technically, I would put them above the Chargers, with Slater being out for the season, so you could move them up a ranking. And they're neck and neck with the Vikings at this point. So it is a very tough conversation no matter what. Like, these guys are elite. It's a great group. I'm not worried about Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell, the Hulk, as I like to call him. As long as both of those guys are out there, you got a star-studded group. Depth-wise at tackle, they should be fine. Dan Skipper, man, 6 offensive linemen, right? Throw him the football. Do what you got to do, Dan Skipper. Love him. Giovanni Manning impressed me in his first preseason game. Well, technically week 2, but in the second preseason game for the Detroit Lions. But he impressed me in that last game. I was keeping a close eye out on him, and I thought he did a good job versus those Atlanta Falcons pass rushers. He lost a couple of reps. He lost a couple in terms of he whiffed on a couple of blocks in the run game and then missed like 1 as a pass protector. In general, I thought he had a pretty good game, and I was impressed. He's making some strides. Still think he's maybe not the most laterally gifted athlete, but the dude can move out in space and get out in the run and stuff like that. So we'll keep an eye on Manu. Definitely pulling for him. They need him to be a good swing man. And then on the interior, I have the guard ranking at 25 and the center ranking at 24. It just comes down to some youth. And with these young guys like Christian Mahogany and Tate Ratledge, I like both of them. I think Ratledge had a solid outing. He had some missed blocks as well, but ultimately he also has some good blocks too. So I think Ratledge is going to be a solid starter for them. Mahogany showed a lot at the end of the season last year, filling in for injuries. And then you got Coyote Ashika, you got Tristan Colin, you got Miles Frazier, unfortunately, on the PUP list right now. You figure on Ashika and Colin means to be their priority depth players. I would guess they keep 9 or 10 on the roster right now. So if you factor in Skipper, Manu, and then Ashika and Colin, that puts you right at that 9 threshold. If they keep 10, my guess would be Kingsley Agoikin, the center there, to be their primarily backup center. He could, because Colin could play guard and play center. But I would try to keep Kingsley Agoikin. I think he's a good offensive lineman that can develop. So I'd keep 10 and try to keep him as a backup center for this football team with his upside. Now, other guys that are going to be competing that have a potential to make the roster, obviously you got Jamarco Jones, veteran presence, and Tane Muti. I thought he had some up and down reps, like good run blocking reps at times, but he lost some pass pro reps for sure. Same thing with Mason Miller. Oh, he's got to have a bounce back game if he wants to make this roster, even the practice squad at this moment. Definitely has to get better. The pass protection was a little rough there. So Michael Neese, same thing. Pass protection was a little rough at times. You got some injuries with Scoresdal and Heron, so they lost some of those guys. They brought in guys like Gunnar Britton and whatnot. So we'll see how Keith Sutherland as well. They brought him just in recently. So that's where I'm at right now. This offensive line, though, the depth does concern me a little bit, especially with some of the injuries. I think tackle-wise, they'll be okay. Interior is definitely got to step up a little bit better as we go further into the preseason. I want to see more from them. Wide receiver-wise, there's no concern. I rank it at 4. It's a great group. It's a star-studded group. You got the winged dragon of Raw, as I like to call him. Amon-Ra St. Brown. I love that, man. I love his name. He's a great player. One of the top receivers in the NFL. J-Mo finally coming along this past season with that deep speed that he has. You got Tim Patrick. Tim Patrick's going to be your prototypical X in this offense, that big body possession guy, of course. You got Jackson Meeks, who had a nice preseason game versus the Falcons, a deep ball. What is a 67-yarder pass from Kyle Allen. So Jackson Meeks definitely has a real good chance of making the roster. To me, he's going to be competing with Tom Kennedy. Kennedy's another guy that was solid. I think he had a good preseason game, and he's been a reliable player for them. Ultimately, could they do like a practice squad sort of thing with Tom Kennedy if they want to make sure they keep Meeks around? It would make sense. That would. Kennedy might be a little bit easier to practice squad him as a 6th wide or 7th wide receiver, and then they can call him up on him for injuries. Isaac Tesla had a little bit better of a game. I'm still a little bit on the fence. I'll be honest. I'm a little on the fence with Isaac Tesla. I don't know if he's got really the movement skills. And also, do I think he's got the jump ball skills, even though he did have a nice touchdown catch in this versus the Falcons. So there's some improvement there. The first versus week 0, taking the Hall of Fame game versus the Chargers. I was a little bit worried and, still want to see more of Isaac Tesla. I'm not ready to give up. I love Tesla. But at the same time, there's definitely going to be some work to do there. I want to see him get better. Cleve Raymond working in as the main fourth wide receiver for these guys. On to the tight end room, which I rank at 9. Oh, I also want to give a shout out real quick. Ronnie Bell was pretty good. I thought he's a guy that has a chance to make the roster too. So I don't want to mention that. Tight end wise, let's get back here where I have him ranked at number 9. I think Sam Laporta is an absolute star, superstar. The reason why it's a little bit lower, you could say, like, oh, this is maybe a top, 5 rank. Well, their depth is a little, especially with Kenny Yeboah getting injured now. You got Shane Gillespie as a nice little receiving element. Brock Wright's a good, solid backup. Okay, but once again, if you start having some injuries, like who's going to be able to step up and be that second tight end? That's really my big thing. So that's really where I'm at right now. It just comes down to the depth. And when you look at some of these other tight end rooms, I feel like there was a little bit more depth, so that's why I ranked them a little bit low. But there's no doubting Sam Laporta potty as the bad guy, John Kapler would say. I love it. Sam Laporta, great tight end. And on to the running back room, ranking at number 2. Yeah, they're right there with 1, which, who did I have? Was it the Eagles that had number 1? I forgot to take a look again. Well, actually, it was the Falcons. Pardon me. It was the Falcons. So you could make that argument. The Lions are better than the Falcons, or you could, say either which way. But Jahmyr Gibbs, David Montgomery, those two guys, it's a lethal combination. And Craig Reynolds, okay, let's not discount Craig Reynolds. That guy runs hard. I like Craig. He's one of those guys that he's a Campbell. He's a Campbell guy. He runs his butt off. So, and Sione Vake, when he's out there too, he's a nice little flanker, can play all over the field, give you good special teams ability as well. I think those 4 guys end up making but Jacob Saylor's also had a good game versus the Falcons. Don't discount him either. Okay, this ain't no discount double check out here. I think he's a guy to maybe, you never know. I think if nothing else, a practice squad candidate. We're quarterback, Jared Goff. I have him number 11, just outside the top 10. Kyle Allen figures to be, to me, the backup. Hendon Hooker, I know, ball security, not good. And just in general, I feel like he just doesn't have the decision-making or it's more of like the processing. I feel like his processing is really just too slow. So that's where I'm at right now. Maybe he can continue to prove me wrong. I just don't see it with Hendon Hooker at this point. Kyle Allen figures to be the main backup for me. And Jared Goff, we don't need to talk about him too much. I mean, he's a solid quarterback, and it's great to see his ascension and prove some haters wrong. On to the defense side of the ball, and this defensive line, which I rank the edge room at 8 and the interior defense line at 8. Now, I'd put the interior defense line in an asterisk because as of right now with the injuries, the Mekhi Wingo, Levi Unzarika, who is done for the year, and then Lee McNeil on the PUP list, it would lower my ranking probably more into the 15 to 20 range. It's still solid. Like, I think Tyleik Williams is a day one impact for this football team. And looking at him versus the Falcons, they were double teaming him all the time. And that's a clear tell sign to me. They're like, yeah, we don't want to lose to Tyleik Williams. And he was holding his own versus the double teams as well. Like, he wasn't getting manhandled. He looked like a man out there. So Tyleik Williams is a guy that I do think can start right away. You got DJ Reader, solid player, obviously. So those two guys figure to be the main early starters for this team. You got some depth with Roy Lopez. And this is another thing that feel a little more confident after watching this Falcons preseason game. Like, Chris Smith played well. Broderick Martin, I've been waiting for this. Broderick's finally stepped up, making plays in the backfield. I've been looking for that in a minute. I'm sure Detroit Lions fans have been looking for this. Like, where's Broderick Martin? Come on, make some plays. He made some plays. That's good to see. Keith Cooper's a versatile guy, can play a little edge, interior pass rusher type. And the way I list these two, the Lee McNeil side, that right side over there, those are more your 3 techs. And then your DJ Reader side, that's more your 0, your 1 tech, your nose guys. So now, with that being said, Tyleik Williams, the one guy that I would say would be the most versatile. He could play from 0 to 5 very, very easily. I just kind of ran out of space, to be honest with you, on that right side. So that's really what it is, the explanation there. But I do think he would also be really fine at nose tackle with the strength he has in the profile as a great run defender. Overall, the interior defensive line, I still feel okay about it. Like, it's still good. I think they can get the job done, especially with a good linebacking core behind them. I don't think they're going to have any issues stopping the run unless they have more injuries here. And as the season goes along, they should get healthier, which will help them out quite a bit. And if Broderick Martin and Chris Smith, those guys can, you never know. Edgewise, also a very good room. Obviously, with Aiden Hutchinson coming back this season, let's go. The Hutch is back. And then you got Marcus Davenport. If he can stay injury, that's been his biggest crutch, should I say, is just injuries. So if you can keep those guys too healthy, you should be good. However, what I will say too, another area that surprised me when I was watching him versus the Falcons, Alquan Muhammad, he was dominant in the first. Like, when he was out there, number 97, I had to double check on who number 96 is because they kept catching my eye. He's good. He making plays there off the edge, consistently winning. And then you got Nate Lynn, also was pretty consistently winning. He should have had a strip. He almost had a strip sack, and he did have at least one sack I saw out of there. Number 57, like Lynn and Muhammad were really good for them. So that's something I got. A little standout performers there in preseason. And then you got Amin Hassani, another guy that I think is going to be a really, really good football. He's another Campbell guy. You know what I mean? High motor leader guy that's going to be just a monster in the run game and can be affecting the quarterback as well with his high motor. So I think those are your guys that end up keeping the roster. Obviously, Trevor Nowolski, I listed as a Sam because that's really what he is. Okay, he rushes the passer a lot, but he can drop back into coverage, play a multitude of hats. Derek Barnes is in the same sort of mold, and I'll list him when we get to the linebackers as a Sam as well. But Nowolski's a beast too. That dude can make plays. He's just all around the football field and making tons of plays in the backfield. And we go on to the linebackers here, like I mentioned just before, is Derek Barnes. I listed as a Sam. The guys on the right, the Jack Campbell range, those are more your Mike-style linebackers. On the left side with Alexander Zaloni, those are more your Will-style linebackers. In terms of who I think will make the roster, obviously those first four guys with Malcolm Rod on the pup, that's going to give Stewart and Cunningham the edge for me to make the roster early in the season. Beyond that, maybe Turner has a chance. Pittman or Gilbert, I don't know. Maybe more practice squad with Gilbert. That would be my guess. Linebacker room looks good, though. I think Zaloni, Campbell, Barnes figures to be your main three rotation, or especially early in the season. Then Stewart and Cunningham could be your early on backups. And when Malcolm Rod gets fully healthy, then you go from there. Overall, linebacking core is a top 10 room in the NFL, in my opinion. Cornerback-wise, I rank it at 15. The injuries do give me a little bit of concern. Obviously, Enos is out for the year again, which sucks. I know Lions fans like, geez Louise, out again. Nick Whiteside had a really good game versus the Falcons. I thought he played well. DiCaprio Poodle, he got beat a couple of times, one on the perimeter on a vertical route. Eric Howlett also got beat. He got a pass interference call, let up a touchdown. Tyson Russell was fine. I didn't see too much of him. Khalil Dorsey, you want to see him get healthy. He could be a solid depth player for them. Obviously, your starters-wise, I feel good about. Like DJ Reed, as a Jets fan, trust me, he's a good football player. He'll make some plays. He's a little bit older. Sometimes you worry about that, signing older corners or just older players in general, their contracts and stuff. Will they be able to perform in the new scheme and everything like that? But I do think he'll be fine. He's a good player, and he's a hard-nosed guy, right? It's one thing if he's just like looking for money and stuff. Like, no, he's proven that the guy will play under a contract and whatnot. Terrion Arnold, let's go into year number 2. Got to see more consistency out of him. Armeek Robinson, solid corner as well. Avonte Maddox, to me, is their best backup on the roster as their fourth guy. So we'll see how it all goes. They're going to have to figure out the depth. And then safety-wise, this is a great room, right? I mean, you got 2 star-studded safeties, Brian Branch, Kirby Joseph. You got Rocky and Sin now playing safety as well, and he looked good. So I think he figures to be, with Ian Kinley, those are your, and hopefully Maurice Norris is healthy, right? That looks scary. And whenever you're dealing with, neck and stuff like that, man, hopefully he's doing well, and I hear there's some good reports on that, so I didn't want to state that. But going back to Kenley here, Rocky and Son, those guys figure to be your main depth at the cornerback position. It's a really good room. On to the coaching staff here, and it's a good, yes, it would be higher, right? It's just when you lose both of your offense and your defense coordinator, it makes things a little bit tricky. So I do want to mention that, that's why this coaching staff maybe is not top 5 where it would be last season. You still got Dan Campbell. That's great. And then you got John Morton coming over from the Denver Broncos as the pass game coordinator. And with the the Sean Payton background, you know how those coaches, a lot of them turn out really good. Kelvin Shepard as the defensive coordinator, getting that promotion from being a linebackers coach for the Detroit Lions, well earned. So we'll see how he does. I imagine he's going to keep things a lot very similar to Aaron Glenn and everything like that with his own little tweaks and stuff. So coaching staff still, I think, should be pretty good, and that's why I still rank them at top 10. But there will be a little bit, again, it's something to monitor, and maybe one thing that could be a little bit of a learning curve. So my record prediction here for the Detroit Lions is 11-8, and the reason why I don't have maybe a little bit higher just comes down to those offense and defensive coordinator trying to get some of those learning curves together. It can be a challenge, really, you know what I mean? Like, look at the Eagles. It took them a season to kind of get things going again when they lost both of their coordinators. Just feel like it takes some time. So I'm ready to go, though. I think this team definitely has a real chance to win a Super Bowl. Anybody that's in my top 10, I feel confident they can win a Super Bowl. But those question marks, the interior of the offensive lines, just dealing with some youth there. Definitely something on the offense side of the ball to watch out for. The interior defensive line, the injuries that they've had there, the corners. Those are my little areas of where they could go and struggle upon the season. So let me know what you think. Agree or disagree. Detroit Lions. I hope you guys have a good day, and let's roar.